Hello, my brothers. I hope you're all doing well and good. This week's chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen was amazing with all the different types of details and hints at Yuta's mindset in the Culling Games and the overall impact of this arc and how the Culling Games are going in this really crazy Yuta fight, with us seeing a little bit more from both Uro and Ryu in terms of their curse technique abilities. Gege really is giving us a treat this week, but let's dive into chapter 176, Sendai Colony Part 3. The chapter starts off with us seeing Uro just flexing and all out engaging Yuta in combat using her curse technique to manipulate the sky. From the initial panel, she seems to hit really hard based on the destruction that was caused, and Yuta is now stunned and confused on just how her techniques works as Uro goes in for another hit. Yuta is completely ready and responds to her rushing into him, but Uro twists the space around Yuta's arm, causing it to miss and deforming his arm like some sort of weird stretched noodle. This strange occurrence made an opening for Yuta to get hit in the face and for her to try another of this like sky split attack. Yuta was pushed back by this like initial assault, but was so confused on just what her technique was doing. Yuta noticed his arm was distorted before, but he came out of the attack completely fine. He didn't even notice or feel any pain. Yuta thinks to himself that maybe her technique allows her to manipulate space, but it also appears she cannot harm people with it. It feels as though she's creating a distortion through a lens. Then in this moment, Uro actually flat out just reveals her ability, saying she turns sky into a surface as she distorts the space around her like she's dragging some sort of cloth or a curtain type material. Yuta takes notice of her explanation but thinks that there is something more to her power. To me, it looks like her power really just like is a manifest like her interpretation of the quote-unquote sky, or rather the concept of a sky, into something that she can manipulate, even being able to distort like space around her as we see. And so it's kind of like whatever is perceived is able to be manipulated like some twisted abstract illusion. But overall, this technique is pretty broken as it's able to actually make something like a blanket of space. That's really very, very weird. Moving on though, Uro is getting really impatient and just wants to move on with the fight already now that she's revealed her own technique in her own hand. However, Yuta stops for a second and wants to ask Uro a question. He asks, "You wouldn't mind if you got killed, right? I understand why the powerless risk their lives to join a fight, but someone strong like you should be able to get points whenever you want. So why would you actively involve yourself in a fight like this one?" So now Uro, a little pissed off, says this: "What? You modern sorcerers think incarnation is so easy. To us, it's like coming back from hell. Hell! Why would you think someone would agree to Kenjaku's offer if they didn't have regrets in their first life? The Culling Game is merely the first step in our second chance at life. But since Kenjaku is the one running the game, it's best to get as many points as possible for whatever may happen." But Yuta immediately responds with his own opinions, asking if she has any type of attachments like a lover or has any friends. And Yuta can't really understand at all how these ancient sorcerers can be like this, because just because they have regrets, no matter if it's hundreds or thousands of years, you still won't hesitate to kill people. So why put in all of this effort just for yourself? So this part is actually very weird, and I'm interested to see how the official translation would portray this, but it does make sense in the fact that we know why Yuta kills and takes part in the Culling Games. He has to. He protects people. We know he has to take on burdens for the greater good of humanity, like his resolution to get 400 points and what he said about everyone after Shibuya. However, ancient sorcerers, they already died hundreds, thousands of years ago, but they're only here because they made a deal with Kenjaku and they feel like they left some sort of regret or resentment in their first life behind. However, now they're killing again in this era and are sparking a new age of sorcery in this modern current era. So it's like, what exactly is their goal? What are they trying to prove? What are they trying to do? Do they want a shot at Sukuna like Hajime was hinted at? Do they want to follow Kenjaku? Do they want to kill Kenjaku? Or do they just want to watch how things play out? It's really unknown what type of goals these ancient sorcerers have, and of course what Kenjaku has in store. Like, we really do not know. Like, it could be really big. Kenjaku's plan could be really big, and because we're just getting hints that the calling game is like a facade. Like, it's not even, it's just the tip of the iceberg, or it's just really the start of it all. Like, it's just an appetizer before the main event. Right now though, Uro obviously is very pissed off and has a glimpse of the past with a ancient shaman and calls Yuta out for being a Fujiwara, asking, what do you and your kin even know? So this whole segment was very interesting, and I'll say how I feel in my chapter afterthoughts. But moving on, they are interrupted by Ichigoori Ryu. He uses his pompadour like hair as like a main output in his cursed energy attack called Granita Blast, firing off a massive wave of cursed energy out of nowhere. He has to be like, he's very far away. He has to be like over 1,000 meters away, and we see just why his cursed energy output is boasted so high, as this attack leveled an entire city block, and he's not even sweating. I also think it's really funny just how many coincidental references Ryu has as a character right off the bat. He looks like a JoJo character. He's dressed like Corolla Lucifer from Hunter x Hunter, and now his attack is like he's firing off a Sero wave from Bleach. So that's really kind of wild to think about, but we see this aftermath of the hit as nothing but devastation is left all around Uro and Yuta. Even Yuta calls Ryu's attack range insane, and knowing with how dangerous he is, Ichigoori is, even with Rika protecting the civilians at the stadium, Ryu's attack would definitely still cause many people to die. So Yuta now is setting his sights on Ichigoori first. Uro decides that Kurourushi and Daruv, now that they're gone, she can handle both Ryu and Akotsu herself. Yuta then beelines straight for Ryu, going full tilt, with Ryu surprised at Yuta taking him head on. And he's really getting excited and riled up about fighting Yuta, but Ryu does another cursed energy wave attack, this time doing some type of like scattered orbital strike attack, with some shots actually being able to track Yuta. However, Yuta is showing some very impressive evasive maneuvers as he's ducking, he's rolling and spinning, and he's able to evade Ryu's onslaught enough to slip into cover and catch up to him on top of the building extremely fast. He goes right for Ryu and is able to hit him with Akotsu in his dry humor way, asking Ryu to please fight a little closer, and Ryu taking the hit, asking, will that fill up my stomach, Akotsu? And the chapter ends with the final concluding note saying, the main dish will now be served. So this chapter was very good, as we get to see Yuta handling both Ryu and Uro in this sort of three-way death match. But the first point I want to kind of get out the way is Ichigoori Ryu. I think he's probably has the ability to eat cursed energy in a sense. And I say that based on his comments about him starving and him filling up his stomach. And even his cursed technique attack is named after a popular dessert food item. So there is definitely something going on there, and he may be able to absorb cursed energy. And that could be why he can output so much more than normal. Also, he just completely took a hit from Yuta barehanded and smiled about it. So this guy here, we need to watch out for him. The next point though I want to talk about is Uro's power and the connection with the Fujiwara clan. And Uro has an incredible technique that she's able to use. It is so strong and powerful and refined to the point where it could fully manipulate a vague concept such as the sky, and seems to be extremely practical in giving her flight, a really strong cursed attack, and a abstract defensive option. It's very unusual and weird. Like, she literally pulled space like a blanket to block Ryu's cannon. And apparently you can be very risky with how you dress with it too. But chapter 173, a side note in that fan translation, said that she was a captain in the assassination team for the Fujiwara clan. So she was likely a servant or had connections to that family. However, what she said before about Yuta being a Fujiwara is kind of confusing, because Yuta is confirmed to be a Sugawara Michikizune's descendant, like Gojo's family. But her reaction is kind of interesting because the most prominent and famous Fujiwara that I found being Fujiwara no Michinaga, who was the head of the regency in the Heian era, was said to be very poetic. He was one of the strongest leaders at that time, and he was actually said to have a remarkable understanding of people and the human heart. So even his poems, as you can see, they kind of reflect a bit of Uro Takako's power, and Yuta's words definitely were very earnest, as he genuinely wondered why ancient sorcerers came back just to kill more people and satisfy their own needs. Also, Uro she got the same vibe from Yuta that she got from this person in this one ancient panel. So to me, that probably was the highlight of this chapter, just for us to actually get a glimpse into the past and the golden age of sorcery, because I find that aspect of the series to be really amazing with all the possibilities that could happen and the world building that could bring. One final highlight I noticed is Yuta not using his katana sword, and I'm sure he would definitely use it against opponents as high level as this, and he knew just how strong these two players are, but just in this chapter we do not see Yuta using his blade. But he obviously is a swordsman, so that is a little strange. Does the sword have something to do with him using reverse curse, or does it have something to do with Rika? Some folks even theorize that Rika is the sword itself, so that's really crazy. But I still think that Yuta is in this mindset where he is struggling just a little bit, but does not really want to show all of his cards or all of his power yet. Almost like he's handicapping himself just not to reveal everything that he has in store in terms of his power, because I'm sure if they saw Rika up close, they would be much more hesitant to engage him. However, Yuta for sure is just wired differently. Like, he knows how strong he is, and he even outright just asks Uro if she's okay with being killed. Like, how much Chad energy is Yuta gonna show? We already saw how he killed the last guy, Kuro, but now I think these fights are gonna be a bit more challenging, especially with all three sorcerers in this deathmatch. Gege is already really dialing Yuta's part in his fights to 100. Thank you guys though for watching this video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you are interested. This chapter was super good and also really quick, with us getting to see Yuta take on two sorcerer powerhouses, but I really loved seeing how Yuta was actually referenced to an ancient shaman, and I definitely have to do a video or like a theory on the big three special grades, Kenjaku's plan, and how relevant ancient sorcerers are now, because that's one of my favorite concepts in JJK, involving Japanese folklore and the Culling games and all the culture involved in that. But that's basically it for this video. You guys are awesome. This has been Enemy Stand User, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.